living with risk. I want to talk about it in the context of COVID. If you haven't watched before, my name is Dr. Nicole Didick, and I'm board certified in internal medicine and geriatric medicine. For the last 20 years, I've been looking after older adults and their families. Today, what I want to talk about is living with risk. We can allow people sometimes to live with risk. Now, it's a very case-by-case situation. Of course, there are some things that people do that put themselves at risk, that could put others at risk. And then we have to take that into account too. But to automatically say that something is not safe and to jump to intervening and putting a person in a bubble wrap kind of situation isn't usually the way to go. What does that mean when it comes to COVID? Well, it's been extremely hard on many older adults living with dementia and others. Because if those people have been living in nursing homes, for example, or retirement homes, those individuals have had to cancel visits with family and essential caregivers and have oftentimes had to stay in their rooms for weeks. And that's been a very big risk to the health of many people. It's protected them from COVID in many cases, but it's put them at risk in other ways. I think it's hard to say if that's been the right thing all the time. There are many situations where I can think, where I can judge that I think the risk of not having a visit and not having a care partner and not being out of the room is much higher than the risk of contracting COVID. But there have been older adults with dementia, many of them in my community, who have died of COVID. And I don't know if those individuals would have been willing to die in order to have those other experiences like visits and more freedom. I wish we could. This is my sort of ideal wish, is that we could have had, there are obviously other things we could have done, like testing and maybe other precautions and other kinds of mechanisms that would have made it safer for people to have visits. That's definitely true. And I would like to see some kind of decision-making framework so that the person who's living with dementia could let us know what kind of trade-off that they'd be willing to live with. And that might need to be done with a substitute decision maker, or it might need to be done at a time when there isn't a pandemic, when a person could sort of say, yeah, I'm willing to accept that risk because that, at this stage in my life, the most important thing is that I see my wife every day. And same with the wife. She could say, I realize that, this nursing home might have an outbreak, but I need to be there to be, no matter what. It's impossible for people to really foresee every situation and to say that they know what they would want. But I wish we could find a way to let people use some of their own autonomy and decision-making to decide if there's some risk that's acceptable. Maybe I'm living in a dream world. You guys tell me, you viewers, tell me what your thoughts are. Has that crossed your mind that is there a way that we can balance the risk tolerance of individuals with the safety of people who are frail and who are living with risk? I'd be interested to hear what you have to say. So thanks for watching, and I will, as I say, put links to some of the other videos that I've made about dementia and living with risk. I'd love to hear what your experience has been and what your thoughts are, so you can leave a comment below this video. You can also go to my website, thewrinkle.ca, and I'm on Facebook and Twitter as well. I would love to hear from you, and I'd love to have a conversation about living with risk. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for other videos about the key connections that you can make to help those living with dementia.